House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
It's Tuesday, everybody, and that means it is time for House to Home. So I get to sit in this chair and be educated by two of the smartest minds I know when it comes to real estate, Liz Duenas and Gina Campos from Remax Diamond Realty Guam. Hafa ladies, and I know there is breaking news we want to report. This just into the KWM newsroom. Liz and Gina have been stumped in all their years, decades combined of real estate experience. They found out something this week that even blew them away, that was complete new news. Gina, I cannot wait to hear what you broke down, or how you broke down.
So I shared with you a survey map that I have a piece of property that I'm in the process of subdividing.
All right, here it is.
It's been a long experience with my surveyor. We've gone back and forth. How many lots can I come up with, and this and that and the other. And at the end of all that discussion, this is what we decided to do. So it's a little different than your normal cul-de-sac, but it's something that my husband and I agreed to do the property this way. And this is what I learned that I wanted to share with the community. In the process of doing my work for another family that actually just subdivided their property, the map was recorded about 2 weeks ago, and the family members individually had decided to sell their lots. And so during the course of walking on one of the properties, we discovered that monuments that were recorded on the map, and the map has already been recorded with land management. The monuments were not physically in the ground. It was just rebar with a cap on it.
So those little pogs, like I remember those are like the little colored caps, right?
So if you go to the legend.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go.
So this is what, gotcha. In the map, this is what's called a legend. The legend pretty much describes what is set in the ground. It gives you a little bit about the property, but this is the legend. The surveyor is noting what is there, what can be found there, what they're putting into the ground. And some of the legend is actually items that are required by land management. And so, for instance, if you go up and it says found a 4x4 concrete monument, sure. At some point that concrete monument was put there because land management required it. And in some instances, when you subdivide your property, land management will come back to you and say, we require that you put these monuments. And what I found out from the territorial surveyor is that monuments are required in the easement cul-de-sac, and where you have a curve, they're going to require the monuments. And it may not be exactly that, but for the particular lot that I was discussing with them, that's what they told me. And so when my surveyor, in this particular legend, it says they found the monument, but in another map, the surveyor actually put on the map that he was going to place the monuments. And I think Liz could, so that was my experience, and Liz can explain.
Yeah, Liz, this is where all the discrepancies go, apparently, right?
Well, what Gina's referencing is if the map states there's a 4x4 monument that was found, or that they're going to place it, it should be there. And I think what Gina discovered, that it was not there. The surveyor stated it on the legend that 4x4 concrete marker was in place, but it wasn't. So what we discussed was, we always thought that in any map that is produced, that there's a check and balance from the government to make sure the measurements and the markers are in order to approve the map and sign off on the map. However, they don't physically go out and check the actual monuments, whether they're actually in place. Of course, registered land surveyors are professionals, just like realtors are professionals. And in order to get that designation, you have to pass all sorts of tests. So there is a trust factor between professionals and like the registered surveyor within the government. So they review the map, check the calculations, make sure everything is in order, make sure that the monuments as stated are shown on the map. However, it does not mean they've gone out to check it. And as Gina mentioned, her owner, the map stated a 4x4 concrete marker was in place. Now, other thing I want to point out is when a surveyor goes out to mark your points, they ask you, do you want the rebar or do you want the concrete markers, you know, in above and beyond what the government requires. So if I had 4 points and I wanted concrete markers versus rebar markers, bear in mind, these markers always have to have the registered land surveyor's cap. So if it's a concrete marker, it has the rebar in the middle and it does show the registered land surveyor's cap that this surveyor did in fact certify your boundary points. So again, if there's 4 boundary points, then either I could pay extra to have those things in place or just have regular rebars. But if you've paid for it, as Gina puts out, that if you paid for it, it shows on the map, it should show. So as an owner, if you're going out, always look at your legend. Always look at what is showing on there and verify that the surveyor did put that in place.
And here we are one more time just to accentuate. So yeah, so I know, Gina, sometimes people like, you know, people that are into, you know, cartography or, you know, reading maps normally, you just look at the map at the legend to just glance and get like reference and everything like that. But as we've learned today, there's actually some really pertinent, important information in this that you don't want to just gloss over.
Yeah, this is the surveyor's statement. And when you're subdividing property in the legend, they're going to tell you what they're going to place there. And some of what they're placing there is required by the territorial surveyor in order for the map to be recorded. And what we're trying to point out, what I learned, what Liz learned this week is the government of Guam does not physically send the surveyors out there to verify that what they have recorded actually got done in the field. So that's why we're bringing this up, because if we didn't know that the surveyor, you know, the government surveyor does not physically go out there to make sure that what they just approved and recorded in your behalf is correct, that the field work out there is correct, then that means you need to be able to read your map and go out there and look at all the points. And if the surveyor said the caps are there or the monuments are there, I mean, you're not going to know that they're absolutely correct. That's the surveyor's job. But if they say they put a monument there or a cap, you should physically see that on site. And if you don't, before you pay off your surveyor, perhaps you can go through the legend and say, you know, these things are missing, or when are you going to complete these items? And then from there, you know, you get that discussion out of the way, you get the work out of the way, and then you can make your final payment. But it was surprising. Learned something new this week. So I actually want to thank Mr. and Mrs. Santos for that valuable lesson. It was their family property, and I learned that lesson because of their efforts. And I want to thank them for that.
Very nice. Well, it seems that both of you got an early Easter present. So like information in your Easter basket is just as good as the chocolate bunny, evidently. So, so ladies, once again, it comes down to information, one of the most powerful weapons you can have when it comes to real estate. So Liz, Gina, thank you as always.
Thank you, Jace.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. We hope you got a lot out of this episode, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.